All right, I guess we're live. Okay, cool. Cool. So I'm going to try tonight to do a little better than I have in the past as far as getting to some of the comments. Bobby, are you able to see them on your end?
I can see them. I see Carrie, Prelude, our Oki, and IVS. That's all I see.
Right. Hello from Georgia. Hey, y'all. Central Mississippi here. Howdy, folks. Good evening from Missouri. All right. Yeah, Bobby kind of gave you all a shout out. Everybody coming in, please do us a favor. Hit that thumbs up. Been a busy day around here, y'all. Let me tell you, Bobby was just telling me, or he was just asking, and literally from dawn till dusk. So, all the folks out there that were texting me or emailing or making comments, I'll get to it after I'm done with the show here. But it's been a busy day. Moved the pigs today. Probably going to have to process one faster than I thought. This boar, yeah, he's going to need a little dealing with. Yeah, so that's got to happen. So we moved the pig, moved all the animals, which we always do anyway. But it was a big move today for a lot of these guys. Did a running around in the city, and for anybody that wonders how I get this pig food, you got to check that out on. I'm not trying to leave everything behind the paywall, but a lot of this stuff I kind of keep on Patreon as far as where I go and how I'm getting this stuff. And as of late, I have found a ton of little places you would never expect to go to be able to get pig food and chicken food. And like I said, on Patreon, we cover a lot of that. I even talk about it in the Permaculture Pimpcast. Um, so anyway, anybody looking, to find out any of that information, you can check out the podcast. Bobby has finally got a YouTube channel, which we got linked down below. So everybody go and check him out. Believe me, it's going to be entertaining. Bobby's one of the few people in this world that understands how to fuse information and entertainment and wrap it in a way that you might even be able to laugh about your own demise. So, I mean, he's extraordinary in so many different ways. That's why we're such good friends. But before we get into that, anybody that's needing an EMP shield or anything, check it out down below. All the dumb stuff going on in the world. I'm about to put one on this. I have one on everything. There's one more thing I need to get done here, but I don't want to announce it just yet. Um, yeah, I'll just keep that under my brim. Anybody needing any coffee? Got that. We hooked up with Hollow Roast Coffee from Nicole from Living Free in Tennessee. Also, if you're needing bone sauce, comfort, all that stuff, we got it at the website. Chicken processing, got that too. At the end of this week, don't forget, 30th and 31st, we're going to be in Camden, Tennessee for that swale workshop. So all the people that have been hitting me up about how do I build a swale? How do I make it work? How do I plant the trees in it? How do I do all the cover crops? We're going to cover every last bit of that. And Nicole's handling all the logistics, which means the food is going to be off the meat wagon. Forgive the pun. All right. So all the announcements knocked out of the way. All the new people coming in, please hit the thumbs up. Rick, Tiger, Paul, Sonia, Off Grid Mountain, Ladies Farm. What's up? Check out Ladies Farm, y'all. They're doing big things in no time flat. In fact, they're doing extraordinary things. I'm still blown away at how much they're getting done, and they've barely been on that homestead. Linda, Thea, Sodbuster Living. Let's see. Storm Rider, Ladies Farm, once again. She says the country's growing strong and long. That's what I'm talking about. And my friends from Strand Farm, go check them out too, y'all. Real good friends of mine. They're both traveling nurses, and their life is extraordinary. Wonderful people. Love them very much. But let me tell you who else I love. Let's give a round of applause for my band Sexual Chocolate. No, I'm just kidding. No, Bobby, who's I was going to say he's a trumpet player for Sexual Chocolate, but that ain't going to work out, brother. How you doing?
I'm a little too privileged for that one.
Yeah. Oh no, the privilege goes the other way these days. Hey man, so Bobby, everybody when I first had Bobby on, everybody and the great grandmother was asking, is this dude ever going to get a podcast or a YouTube channel? Well, Bobby, take it away.
Yeah, you wore me down. I have a YouTube channel now. It's called Spags Unfiltered. You can see the name there on my little thing. I've also got spagsunfiltered.com. Nothing's there yet. I mean, I've got to fit all this in between the important stuff. But yeah, I've got the YouTube. I try to put out at least a 15-second short every day just to let you know I care. I've got one video out that I took up at the family farm. It's about 2 hours northwest of where I live. And I'm planning a few more videos. I've got one that I'm probably going to release pretty soon. I won't give too much away, but it's going to be called five ways to tell your date in a beta male. Things like that. I'm going to try to throw some humor in there while absolutely dogging on everything in society that I find deplorable. So I will offend you, I'm sure, because I'm not very, how do you say, polished, and I'm not conventional in my politics or my religion. But believe me, I can get along with you just fine as long as you're willing to get along with me.
Bobby, you're going to hit it out of. Like I said, for everybody out there, you want to check him out. And real quick, hey Bryce. Oh yeah, Bryce. There's my buddy. Well, he's the son of my buddy Bryce. He says, "Hey, Mr. Billy. When you call me Mister, it makes me look for the warrant in your hand." So, Billy will do fine, but I know your sensibilities, so Mr. Billy will do as well. So, thank you so much, Christopher, Eagle Lover, soon to be homesteader, Christopher, Ladies Farm. We'll check out the channel, Storm Rider. Yeah, everybody, you want to check out Bobby and whoever was asking there. I'm sorry it went by so quick. Yeah, the podcast we're doing is Permaculture Pimpcast, and that stands for Permaculture is my passion. All the stuff we can't go into detail here, we go into great detail there, and taking a page out of Bobby's book where we're able to wrap, I hope, serious information into some level of humor and make it a little more palatable than what you're currently getting out there. So you want to learn more in-depth permaculture, you want a PhD understanding in some of this stuff, that's where you're going to find it, because we can only YouTube is great because I can show you the hands-on portion, but the YouTube is really great because I can go into great detail about these things. So that's where you can check it out. Grumpy Acres is in the house. Check them out too.
Grumpy Acres, local talent.
Yeah, there you go. So Bobby, I got to say, bro, you had me about ready to pee myself when I saw that video you did, because it was just short and savvy. The one you did on the Georgia Guidestones. You want to go into that, Annie?
If you're not having a drink, you're not an American. Look, man, I don't care who blew them up. I don't care how they got blowed up. I don't care if it's all an elaborate ruse. I don't care if it's a publicity stunt by the people who built those damn things. I'm just glad to see they're gone. And maybe it's a hearkening to something worse coming. I don't know. I have high capacity magazines. I really don't give a shit. But just watching them go down was enough for me to say, for 5 minutes in my miserable life, for 5 minutes, I get to sit there and have a drink and smile that I watched the edifice to evil crumble, even if it was meant to be.
Man, when I saw that, I had, because of my former career in the military, I had strong feelings about how it was done, and I'm still convinced that it was done the way I said. Of course,
yep.
I can't say it here. That used to be, well, I used to know how to do such things. And when it went down, it's funny. Yeah, well, Michelle and I have actually visited that place. And hey, Patty, when we went there, bro, it was a very disquieting feeling. Of course, it being I can't remember the dates on there, but it was very eerie all the way around. And man, when we got out of there, man, it was a very creepy feeling all the way around. I know where you are in Kansas. They say one of the most haunted places ever is right there across from Perry Lake.
Yep.
But honestly,
Kansas.
I've been there, but I tell you what, I got the bigger heebie-jeebies just being around that Guidestone. But like you said, bro, I am glad that thing is gone.
Yep. I am I'm not going to use the word believer, because believer denotes I have knowledge that I don't have. Okay. But I am very friendly to the concept that sacred geometry is a thing. I am friendly to the concept that when certain items are built, that they're built with a cosmic science that allows them to draw power. And you know what? There's a little less power going to a few more evil people these days, even if it's just a temporary thing. You know what? If for once in our lives in the West, it was their router that stopped working and their internet that went out for a few minutes, well, by God, I'm happy about that.
Bro, I'm right there with you. And I don't know that we should go into this and this sort of thing, but it wouldn't break my heart. But a lot of these structures, like you said, do have a certain degree of, well, can I call it alchemy?
Sure.
Um, you can call it sacred geometry. You could say all these different things, and they all have. You could say to a certain extent that some of these things are spiritually charged. At least I believe that,
Yes.
and I think I could make a pretty compelling case. I know that I can make a pretty compelling case for places like Washington D.C. Or why is it every time you see an obelisk somewhere, directly across from it, you'll see a dome? Huh? Well, there's a reason for that. I guess I won't go into that. If anybody wants, if you want me to talk about this kind of stuff, it's very esoteric. I could probably hit it in the podcast without getting kicked off.
Yes.
If anybody wants to hear, it's more permaculture and that sort of thing, but I can also talk about things that we can't necessarily talk about here. But if you
Right.
want to know more about it, just email me, Billy at permapasturesfarm.com. And if you want to know about some of this, this wicked, like Bobby said, I think you put it perfectly, this wicked alchemy that transpires in certain structures. If you think it doesn't exist, well, the powers that shouldn't believe it does. So I
Right.
like how you put it. Yeah. So their router went down. Their router straight to the underworld went out. I like that,
Yep.
bro.
It's kind of like in the movies where the guy's like, "You don't believe in Satan?" Well, that's funny because he sure believes in you. You know, like
Yeah.
it's true, man. And I don't mean that in any purest way. I don't mean that in one denomination or another, or one religion or another. I'm not going to get into that on your show, but there are forces for evil and there are forces for good. And who you align with, you better make a goddamn good choice because if you don't, God's going to have something to say about it.
Well, when it comes to certain things within that realm, I know that was part. I know back in the day, and I know we've covered it before, but we got a lot of people on board since since you first were interviewed, and you were once a dyed in the wool atheist back in the
What?
day when I knew you early on,
Yeah.
and it's because of, if I remember correctly, maybe you want to get into that again because it was some of the things that went on in this day and age that made you have a
Right.
second thought about what it is you believe.
Yeah, I was a born again Christian growing up. I was homeschooled in a very religious home. Um, very strict. I was a Reformed Baptist growing up. So Calvinism, if anyone knows what Calvinism is, that's how I grew up. Very, very strict. It's about as strict as you can get for the Protestant faiths. And then I went to Iraq and I came back just screwed up in the head a little bit. Um, Everything I thought I knew was wrong. I realized everything I thought I had trust in was wrong. The first thing I did when I came home was I registered as an independent. I left the Republican Party because I felt they had sold me down the river. Um, and just a lot of what I experienced over there really shook me up a bit. And so I did go into a period for probably a good decade where I was like, screw everything. And that includes God, and that includes faith, and that includes religion. And I even in that decade of being in that mindset, there was always this little just something pulling at me, like, dude, maybe you're not as smart as you think you are, and I I would even say that I probably got militant about it there for a few years. I just thought I had realized that everything I'd been taught was a lie. And then 2020 happens, and there was no way you could watch what happened in 2020 happen without seeing a thread through everything. And you just watched a hand pull it, and everything just went whoop and just bent with the will. The narrative was so centrally controlled, and I've always been a believer in things like the deep state, Illuminati, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? I've always believed in that stuff, but I've never seen it so blatant in your face. Like there was no hiding, and that was really the difference in what happened in 2020 to 2021 than what had happened before. It's always happened. It's always been there. But for the first time, it's like they just didn't care anymore. And they were like, guess what? You're going to see this shit live on your TV now. And I watched 90% of the people I thought I knew just fall for it and just be like, oh, agency A says this, I better listen. Government says this, I better listen. This personality on TV says this. And somehow we were all just lucky enough in this country and in Canada and England and Australia where everybody was just saying the same damn thing. And while everybody else was like, oh, it's a consensus, I'm like, dude, there's some programming going on here. And you're all falling for it. So it made me realize that there is an absolute evil force or forces at work in our world today. And if there is an absolute evil, then in a world of balance, which I do believe exists, whether you want to call it yin yang or call it, light and dark, whatever little thing you want to stitch on a pillow and stick on your couch to look woke in front of your friends. The fact is, if there's absolute evil, then there has to be absolute good. Nothing exists in a vacuum. And then I had to start asking myself, well, what is the evil and what is the good? I've pretty well nailed what the evil is. I'm still working on what the good is. But what I can say is that there is absolutely, positively no way that I am just the reaction of a bunch of stardust screwing a monkey at some point, and bam, here I popped out without a tail. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it for a single second. And I'm not buying that there isn't divine intervention on some level. I'm not going to preach about what that is because I don't know. All I know is I was wrong for being an atheist. And at this point, I'm tending towards a certain path, and hopefully it's the right one.
Well, Bobby, I will say for the record that you were the only dyed-in-the-wool atheist that I had ever known in my life that didn't begin a conversation with, "Hi, I'm Bobby. I'm an atheist."
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the vegans do, "Hi,
Oh,
I'm
CrossFitters,
Bobby.
vapors,
Yeah, I'm
vegans. Yeah.
vegan." They always got to find a way. You're the only atheist I ever knew that I knew you for probably 6 months before I ever knew that about you at the time. And I figured, you know what? We're going to chase the demons out of this guy. We're no, no, I mean, in all actuality, I've said it before that some of the most moral people I ever met in my life were dyed-in-the-wool atheists, and some of the worst people were dyed-in-the-wool so-called Christians. So, I make that determination on an individual basis, but
Yes.
I will, I'll be praying for you, and I'll pray that, Jesus gives you that kick in the pants. But it's, you know what, you're on your way, brother. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You at least came from that point of view. And just like so many people that endure incredible hardships, whether it's warfare, whether it's a messed up family like the way I grew up, or whether it's some sort of trauma-based mind control, whatever the case may be.
Sure.
Yeah, that can really screw with your head. But bro, glad to see you turning that corner. And I love you. Jesus loves you. And yeah, so brother, you just keep on plugging. You're an
I'm gonna try,
autodidact,
man.
you're a thinker, and I got a feeling that you're going to do big things. You've been doing big things for as long as I've known you. Speaking of big things, you wanted to talk about some conferences that are coming up, or
I did. And before I forget this, you'll see someone commenting right now called Getting Deep with Data. That is one of my best friends, and he's starting a podcast where he's going to talk about the woo-woo. He's going to talk about the stuff we were talking about earlier.
What?
So, yeah, I'm going to link you up with him. In fact, you've had a phone call with him. You probably just don't realize who that is.
You sent me a link to his podcast, and I couldn't pull the thing up.
Yeah, that's him. We'll get you linked up. But you've also spoken with him. You met him at SOE, and some other places. But he is going to have a podcast called Getting Deep with Data, and it's going to get into some territory like you were talking about. In fact, I would have no doubt that at some point he's going to roundtable a bunch of us into talking about pyramids and obelisks and UFOs and all the fun stuff. So just be ready for that. But yes, I do want to plug. There is a Prepper Expo coming. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, I was just addressing Kip in there. Hey, anybody new coming in, please hit the thumbs up. It helps us out. And check out Bobby Spags Unfiltered. Believe me, you're going to be glad you did. Thanks, Kip. I couldn't agree more. Thanks, everybody else, for all the wonderful comments there. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bobby.
Sandy just gave it away in the comments.
I love
Damn you, Sandy Phillips.
I think she
I'm
was
just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's perfectly fine.
She said she had to take a Karen Silkwood shower when she went to the Guidestones. I think she was the one that said it.
All right. So yeah, there's a little town southeast of Denver, Colorado, called Kiowa. And on Saturday, August 13th, they're going to have a Prepper Expo. And this Prepper Expo, ironically, is also being, well, it's going to be a really good show. EMP Shield's going out there. And so I'm going to be going out there with some of the other folks from EMP Shield to staff a booth. I won't be there as Spags Unfiltered. I'm going to be there for the company, but I will be there. And Getting Deep with Data is going to be there. So it's a little tiny town. You're going to, if you come in, if you decide to drive in, you're going to have to find accommodations in Castle Rock or in Lehman or one of the other small towns around that area. But specifically, I want to shout out to them because I'm trying to help grow these small shows. I'm trying to help these new venues that are popping up, these freedom-based movements that are popping up to all get a little traction. Because if we can all get a little traction, it works towards that counter economics that we all have been preaching about lately, about keeping our money within our groups, starving Leviathan and feeding our own. So there's a gal named Sherry, and if you email me at bobbyspags79@gmail.com, I will get you the information you need about this show. She needs vendors. If you're in the Western Kansas, Colorado, that area, Southwest Nebraska, all that stuff, and you're a vendor and you sell, Sawyer minis, Berkeys, water filters, camping gear, prepping gear, blast matches, anything like that, I will hook you up with her. This is probably going to be the most affordable prepping expo you can ever go to. Your main cost is going to come from travel and lodging. Okay. It's like $50 for a booth. So wow. If I can help you make some money by getting you a spot there for cheap and all you have to do is cover gas and lodging, I'm happy to do it. And it will help them at the Self-Reliance Expo to get some more folks there to get a little more pull. EMP Shield's going to sponsor them, and we're going to be a vendor there as well as some other folks. So if anyone's interested, please email me. I would absolutely love to get that show some traction and help them get some people attending. I know it's in a little place, but look, man, would you rather go to a prepping expo or a Self-Reliance Expo or a homesteading expo in Denver, where everybody in the world can watch what you're doing? Or would you rather go to a semi-rural or a very rural place and have to just put out of pocket a little bit for some gas and lodging? I would rather do that. I would rather support local and small and then go to these giant mega shows that are nothing but a gun show with the word prepper on them. So email me, bobbyspags79@gmail.com. And I'll get you some information on that show. I'll get you her flyer. I'll even put you directly in touch with her, with Sherry. Let's try to get them some more vendors. Let's get them some more traction. Let's keep the money in our own communities. Let's support local small shows. Let's be the counter economy and choke the Leviathan to death together. And we can do it if we just withhold money from Leviathan and work it within our own communities.
Brother, that's exactly what I'm talking about. In fact, that very conversation I was having, he's right there in the chat, Hacks for the Homesteader. Darren, one of my good friends. I'm going to see them pretty soon up there at Doug and Stacy's thing. Yeah, we were just talking about that the other day, Bobby. You just said it right there. And I'm glad you brought it up because I'd like to go into that realm because I know also you could speak to that like so many other topics with great authority. I'm making the case, and I have been, and especially in these Sunday interviews and stuff, I've been really making the case about if we're gonna find our way through and survive what the powers that shouldn't be have planned for us, we better have an alternate economy. I better be buying your stuff, like the SOE T-shirts have on. Well, that didn't come from Walmart. That came from my friend over at SOE. Bam. That's what I'm talking about.
Represent who you believe in. Represent who you believe in, not who Hollywood tells you to put on your shirt. Stop wearing Nike. Stop wearing Adidas. Pull your head out of your ass and wear a Billy shirt. Wear an SOE shirt. Wear a Danny and Wanda shirt. Order their books, their stuff. Stop going to Amazon and buying crap.
And, I'm willing to throw that boomerang in the other way. And I've made the announcement more than once to everybody out there, folks, and I'm going to say it again. If you have a business, if you have a small business, I don't care if it's a medium business, I don't care what it is. If you're not working for any of the big people, if you need help if you have something and our paths overlap in some way, if there's anything I can do within this platform, um, whether you're a knife maker, which we have one the other day, we profiled, doing fantastic work, doing stuff I can't wait to butcher another animal. If you're making soap, if you're doing whatever it is, find out what there is in the market. And if you have an interest for that, start doing it. Reach out to people like me and the others. I will help do everything I can to promote you, just like people go out of their way to help me out. This has
Yeah.
got to be a symbiosis that we work within ourselves and get out of this nonsense. I don't care if it's Joe Blow down the street
Mhm.
who's selling milk, which, by the way, they'll put you in jail for you try to cross state lines for, but yeah, come and get me. Um, I don't care if it's somebody selling eggs, milk, whatever. Maybe you have milk, maybe they have eggs, maybe you barter with one another. Okay, Doug and Stacy's in the house too. Yeah. So hey, you guys ought to reach out to them too, Bobby, to see about maybe being a vendor at their show. But
Yeah.
honestly, no matter what you have, if we don't have these economies among ourselves, if I'm not taking time, I spend a lot of time teaching people how to butcher things, whether it's a pig, cow, sheep, chickens, whatever it is. If it breeds, if it's on a farm, I can put it in the freezer. And
Yep.
I'm showing people how to do that. And I've done it in a very affordable way. Well, that's something I have. There's a number of other people that have these other things, folks. I'm sorry, Bobby. I didn't mean to
No, no apologies. You're
I didn't
absolutely
mean to
right.
monologue too much, but this is exactly just like you're talking about that show there. Well, Doug and Stacy have a show coming up too.
Good.
SOE has a show coming up. We got a swale workshop at the end of this week. I mean, if we don't start doing this, if we don't wake up and smell the corruption, we're all going to fall asleep drinking the hemlock. Can I get an amen, my brother?
Amen. Look, one of the things that pisses me off to no end is when I hear people from within our own communities saying things like, oh, you're just monetizing. You're just going corporate. Well, what the hell do you think feeds the family, dude? I mean, seriously, it takes a little money. We can only homestead to the point where we can eat and take care of ourselves, right? We can't pay our taxes on our property. We can't pay our car tag. We can't pay for gas with cucumbers and tomatoes, guys. So anybody who's like, oh, I used to follow you and it was all free, and now you have a special subscription that's $1.99 a month. Bro, your Netflix costs 4 times that. What are you bitching about? Why are you putting money into those evil pedophiles' pockets when you could easily be putting $1.99 into a subscription for somebody who wants to edify your soul, teach you how to be self-sufficient, and see you be successful? There are people at every level of the country and the establishment right now who want you dead, and you're paying them money at Walmart and Target and Dillon's and on Amazon and every damn place else, right? And I'm not saying we can just divorce all that. I understand there's still a little need there. We haven't quite gotten there yet, but we will never get there if you whine and bitch every time someone like Billy tries to sell something, or every time John tries to sell something, or Danny and Juana try to sell something. What do you want them to do? Give it to you for free? Seriously, man, we're not socialists here. We have to help each other.
Bobby, I sat here and I gave away a pig butchery lesson on YouTube. It's one of my most popular videos. I gave away, that level of instruction. Honestly, at the time I did it, would have cost you ordinarily $600. Okay, just to learn that part. I didn't show you how to do charcuterie. I didn't show you how to do country hams. Didn't show you how to do bacon. I did some of that stuff in subsequent videos. And now all of a sudden, to do it hands on, there will actually, even though the stuff we do is extremely affordable, Nicole Sauce at Living Free in Tennessee put on a show, literally put on the last show, and I think she charged only $130 for tickets for the pig processing. Well, I got news for you. There's people that will do that. First of all, we showed you how to. The pig was alive. We showed you how to dispatch it, gut skin it, gave you 10 times more value than you will ever find anywhere. And then still somebody's going to bellyache and say, oh, well, you made money on that. Well, okay, how much, maybe it's not helpful to keep going on about this, but, because honestly, I can lose my mind about this.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy that people are willing to spend money on the things that they do, but not on the things they should. Like, okay, Grumpy Acres Farm, he just quoted one of my shirts, unapologetically capitalistic. It only works if we make it work.
Brother, I can't preach that anymore. But going back to that central point, that if we don't start, look, folks, I don't care what it is you do, you need to start. If you have any inkling at all to be an entrepreneur, um, here's why it's going to be better.
Hi, gamer.
You know why I would prefer to buy soap from an entrepreneur? Because just like me, when you buy anything I sell, anybody that's ever had an issue, when you don't go through a middleman, you go through me. If you got an issue with anything, the package, okay, I got a number of people. Apparently, the mailmen are shooting this stuff out with slingshots and they're breaking the bottles. So I got people that need this stuff squared away. You're not going through a complaint department. Well, you are, and it's called me. So it's the same thing with you. I buy soap from private people because number one, I am happy to pay more because I know that I'm supporting you. I know that I'm helping your family out. But also, if it's jacked up, there's another small person over here that makes soap probably better if yours makes me smell like I've just played water polo in a septic tank. So if you, and don't think, dude, I've tried some beer batter soap or whatever this stuff was. Dude, I smelled like 30 miles of swamp butt when it was all, I don't know who thought this was a great smell. But the point being is that within these small units, within these small enclaves, we can get far better quality, have better customer service, and honestly help out that other person. That's why Muslims within these Muslim communities, that dollar goes between Muslim hands 20 times before it ever
Before it
leaves.
ever leaves. Yep.
So why are we in the Liberty community and in the homesteader community, in the permaculture community? Yeah. Why are we not doing this?
Right. We need to practice what we preach. We need to be self-sustaining, and that means being self-edifying. And you can't be self-edifying if you're paying Dagon his due.
Well, it's just like, Doug and Stacy, I think it's Doug in there. He says, we provide value, never ask for nothing. Stay focused on value and teaching. Not the money. That's exactly, the workman is worth his hire. And have you ever gone to a job working for somebody? I'll put it this way. I sell bone sauce, comfrey. I sell a number of things. My prices haven't gone up one bit, even though my costs have. So I haven't passed that, and it would be absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. But I am trying. There is nothing wrong with passing that on to your customer. In fact, there is absolutely nothing wrong with making money. And if we all just gave each other a 10% stake, like if I sold Bobby's, Loretta the Love Chicken blow up dolls or whatever, and I got 10% off of that. Well,
good for you, man. You should.
Let's just say you sold bone sauce or comfrey or whatever it is I sell, and you got 10%.
Right.
Well, we all have a stake. So even if they were to scrub me out of YouTube or wherever the place may be, you still hedged yourself.
Correct.
By other people to be able to do that.
It's a way to prepare and hedge against the fact that you can be canceled at any moment. It's a way to make sure that no matter how in depth the forces of darkness are, when they come for your money, you can still pay your bills, and you can still feed your kids, and you can still pay the taxes so they don't come and take your house or your homestead. That's vital stuff, man. It's easy. It's easy. And the enemy does it. They do it all the time. And yet trying to get our community to do it seems like trying to pull a lawnmower after it's been sitting around all winter. Like, come on, guys. Help each other. And it doesn't have to even be money. I'm okay with barter. I'm okay with trade. If you need something done on your place, I'm going to come help you. I will make time to come help you if I can. And then when I need help, I'm going to call you. And that way we're not spending money with people that we don't need to, right? It's simple.
Bobby, case in point, I can prove numerous times where bartering has proven to be a greater value to me than even using dead presidents. And I'll give you a prime example. Out here in my food forest and my orchards, I got probably 30 cubic yards of triple ground aged mulch. And I got it from this old boy for about $100 worth of honey that I have coming out of these hives. Okay. So if I were to sit here and do the math on that, I don't remember. I think that stuff is somewhere around here. I think it's about 80 or no, maybe $70 a cubic yard, but I got at least 30 cubic yards. I gave him the equivalent in small jars, probably the equivalent of a gallon of honey. Now, would you say I got a pretty good deal out of that? I would say that I did, and that was through bartering. There's a guy, he may be even watching tonight, emailed me. I mean, my daughter-in-law was saying, "Man, we really need a big, tub out in the garage where we can do a number of things like a mop sink." Brother, out of nowhere, this dude hits me up, says, "Hey, man, I'll trade you some bone sauce for this stainless." I can't even believe this thing. It's like it's got to be 8 feet long, a stainless steel shop sink that honestly, this thing's got to be worth $800. So I mean, but the bone sauce is more important to him than hanging onto this sheet
Right.
shop sink.
Yes.
So to him, the bone sauce is probably more important. But
Value is
that sink is more important.
Yeah, value is subjective in a free market, and the only way that a free market works is when you have voluntary exchanges between free people.
Yeah, that's the only way it's going to happen, man. And that's where, what they say. Harriet Tubman said, "I freed 1,000 slaves, but I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves."
Right.
And Bobby,
Right. The only difference between 1850 and today is we no longer enslave people based on color. We now enslave everybody. Everybody's working for the man. Everyone's paying their taxes. Everyone has to pay taxes on their property, on what they buy, on you get a cell phone, you have 17 different hidden taxes on that. We are all slaves. And the only way we're ever going to escape that slavery is if we realize that the divisive talk of race and gender and sexuality and all this stuff is designed by them to keep us fighting each other so that we never can unify and become peaceful, free people.
like Russell Means said, he was the guy that played Chingachgook in Last of the Mohicans. He was running for president. And people laughed at him when he said it, but I think he was right on the money. He said, America has just become one giant Indian reservation.
Yeah.
He said, we have a group of people that think they're free and they live in prisons with bars they can't see.
Sure.
And I thought that was one of the most poignant things I'd ever heard in my life, and I remembered it. And it wasn't long before he died, but I think honestly, it goes right back to being, chained at the bottom of Plato's cave, looking at the fake images on the wall, coming out of there and saying, you know what? It sucks at first to pull yourself away from their programming. It's a painful thing. But when you get there, there's no other way. I won't live any other way.
Sure. It was so much easier and it was so much warmer being a team player, right? When I was a diehard neocon Republican, I knew who I was voting for. I knew who I voted for in every race. And it's not because I knew anything about them. It's because they had an R in front of their name, not a D. And when you become tribal, when you become a gang member, essentially, and you have a color and a creed and all this stuff, we wear red bandanas or we wear blue bandanas. All you've become is a gang member. And all you're doing is parroting stuff that you never thought of yourself. You're repeating what you're told to repeat. You're not thinking for yourself at all. And you get angry with people and you get mad with people and you will absolutely ruin personal relationships over something you've never given a second thought to. Your favorite person on TV spouted it. You said, oh, that sounds good. And that's about all you put into it. And then you base your entire life off of that letter and that color. And you never truly think about what's true, what's moral, and what's right. Because let me tell you, if you're looking to what's legal as a standard for what's moral, you will be sadly disappointed. So we have to stop looking at the gang mentality. We have to stop looking at the tribal mentality, and we have to start looking at the individual mentality of what is my personal morals? Where does it come from? And if I can't answer that question, I am in no position to go to a ballot box and try to determine for 320 million other people what is right and what is just and what is moral. Figure it out for yourself. Come to a consensus. Have a family where you're unified and on a single playing field. Figure out why you believe what you believe and then test it. Read books from the opposite point of view. Listen to pundits from the opposite point of view. Challenge your own point of view. I didn't come out of atheism because I only read books by atheists, right? I didn't eventually say this is a really bad, dangerous point of view because I just only read Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris. I read everybody else too, right? And while I still find some merit in some of the things Sam Harris and Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins say, I don't find merit in it because they're atheists. I find merit in it because something they said maybe was funny or maybe had a good point that I can make relevant somewhere else. But I'm certainly no atheist anymore. And it didn't happen because I only read those guys. And or you have to challenge every bit of what you believe, because if you've never become uncomfortable about what you claim to believe, then you didn't really believe it to begin with. You have to have a moral foundation that you try and you test. The Bible says, test the spirits, and thereby you will know the truth. You're not going to know truth if you're just comfortable sitting on the couch eating Cheetos, watching Fox News. It's not going to happen.
Well, you definitely going back to that gang mentality. So what you're really telling me is that we have Democrips and Republicans, just like. So we got the Democrips and Republicans, like Jesse Ventura said a while back.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. But when I pulled myself, I don't know that I was ever in that left-right paradigm, and I think that disappoints somebody, because when Ron Paul stepped on the scene, I was like, okay, wow, and this is where I met you, and where I met so many other people in the Liberty movement. Was I thought I was all alone out there. Oh, by the way, Hour 73 was in the chat. Really cool dude. I was on his podcast the other day, and the story behind Hour 73 is worth checking him out. Check out his podcast. He might even have a YouTube channel, but it was a joy to be able to talk to him. So shout out to him as well. Hour 73, y'all. But yeah, Bobby, I can't believe I just lost everything right there, bro. I saw his name pop up, and I'm like, oh, dude, I just gotta, I just went. No, Ron Paul. When all that came up, and this idiotic left-right thing, I was a Democrat for a while. I was a Republican for a while. I was an independent for a while. And then when I was like, man, none of these people are really jiving with me right now. And then all of a sudden, I read this document, it's called the Constitution. And when I read that thing, I'm like, wow, they got a Bill of Rights in here. Sure looks like a whole lot of this is being violated right now. And then I'm realizing, man, none of these people, and that was what's cool, because through all of that, I came to know you and a great many other people up there, Darren at Hacks for the Homesteader, Patty, a great many of us that were in this movement. And now all of a sudden, well, and also it kind of overlaid also with the preparedness thing. And now we're at a point in America where, like Danny from Deep South said, it's almost becoming a fad. It really is. Homesteading, preparedness preparedness at that time was becoming a fad, but now homesteading in general is becoming a fad. And I just wonder, I can't help but wonder, and I want to ask you this, that if things were just magically would turn around tomorrow, because we have record numbers that are getting into the back to the land movement. If it were all going to turn back to normal tomorrow, how many people do you think would head right back into the matrix?
Most of them. Look, I don't know how many people I saw during the Obama years who were like, not one magazine, not one part, not one gun, not one bullet. But the minute Daddy Trump tread all over them and banned bump stocks, they were like, not my fight, not my time. And I'm like, yeah, this is why I left you, because you're retarded. There's no consistency. There's absolutely no objectivity. It is all subjective feelings and who makes you feel better when you watch the news cycle. Look, speaking of Grumpy Acres Farms, I did an interview with him recently, and he asked me a question. And he said, some people say we're not truly homesteaders because essentially we're not living in a thatch house. We're living in modern houses with electricity and plumbing, and so we're not truly homesteaders. And he asked me what my position on that was, and I said, those people can kiss my ass, quite frankly. That's like saying you're not writing a book because you're doing it on a laptop instead of having an inkwell and a quill pen. Technology changes, things get better. But it's that exact attitude that's preventing folks from unifying to get away from the tribalism, because even within our circles, there's folks who are like this or that, right? So like you said, let's say 90% of America tomorrow magically converts and decides to grow their own food. Look, the same people who say that you're not a real homesteader unless you live in a thatch house without electricity and modern plumbing are the same people that by 85% went to the cities during the Great Depression. So if your way was so damn good, how come you couldn't survive the Depression? How come you couldn't survive the stock market crash? Literally a bunch of Illuminati nerds did some nerd math in the banks, crashed the stock market, and I'm supposed to believe that that's what forced people off of their homesteads into the cities? Maybe we need to stop with the you're not really a this or you're not really a that, and learn to combine our talents together and combine our knowledge together and help each other so that when the next crash comes, we don't have to go back at the rate of 80 some percent.
Bobby, you said it all right there. And this whole thing, this idiotic nonsense of telling somebody they're not a homesteader or they're not a permaculture designer because they don't fit within this paradigm that you think is acceptable or should be the archetype for a homesteader or a permaculture designer. Well, I got news for you, and I'm glad I just saw Deep South go through there. Is
They're in the chat.
permaculture purists in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I was down there first time with Danny, I said, "Man, I'm looking around here, and I'm like, this is permaculture on steroids. Like all 7 layers, everything's zoned with perfection. You could not zone things and put them." And I asked him, I said, "Dude, this is permaculture. I mean, on steroids. Why don't you talk about it much?" He says, "Because you're going to bring out all the nut jobs." And he's right, but I see the same exact thing going on in the homestead space where, and like I said, Deep South is probably one of the most formidable homestead designers down there. But just because you may not fall completely in the paradigm, these same sanctimonious types, whether it's in the homesteading or permaculture, will say, "Well, you're not this, you're not that." Well, I guarantee if you go to their place, they're not sourcing all of the food they eat from the place they have. They're going down.
Oh, sure.
to Walmart.
Oh, sure. The
But they're the
loudest
most
voices were
sanctimonious ones trying to say Bobby is not a preparedness guy or so and so is not a permaculture designer
Right.
because they didn't have any particular training or this. I dismiss all of that. And the people
Yeah.
doing that, honestly, they can all kiss my grits. No, I didn't say it, Bobby. You thought
I'll say it. Kiss my ass. I don't care. I'm the unfiltered one.
you're
No, it's ridiculous, man. All the effort we take into putting people down and all the effort we put into telling others why they're not doing it right or doing it correctly. Danny and Wanda are in the chat right now. They just said to be a homesteader doesn't mean you have to be poor. They're absolutely right. They're absolutely right. Like, we're not training to survive the next cataclysm by being cavemen. I'm not trained. I'm not a prepper or a homesteader or a prepsteader or whatever little title you want to call me, because I intend to survive with one oil lamp and a buck knife. You know, I'm not doing that. I don't plan to survive. I plan to thrive, and I plan to build a dynasty for my family. I plan to help my personal group build a dynasty whereby our children and our children's children will have a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of resources, and the ability to source and help each other so that we never again have to rely on the banks. So we never again have to rely on corporate America. So we never again have to rely on the politicians. Look, it's about secession efforts. You know, we have to bring secession down to the level of the individual. That's the goal. That flag behind me, the Agorist flag, that is the goal, to bring secession level down to us as an individual. I choose to do this, and the law can say what the law says, and the majority of the people, even in my own field, can say whatever they want to say. But the fact is, as long as I'm living it in my life the best I can, as flawed as I am, as flawed as my wife will tell you I am, the fact of the matter is I answer to nobody but nature's God and myself and my family and my group, because that's who I choose to answer to. There are people in my group that I call regularly because they know a hell of a lot more than I do. I won't say their names because it's one of those things. I don't out people, but there's one gal in our group right now. She is our homesteading queen, and I call her with questions on canning. I call her with questions on gardening, and she's in the chat. I've seen her. I love you. You know who you are. And it doesn't matter if I'm the guy who can shoot the guns better. It doesn't matter if I'm the guy who can do the logistics of planning out a shop better. The fact is, I am not her equal in that. She raises me up there, and there are areas where I raise her up. And with everybody else in my group, it's the same thing. And we willingly subjugate ourselves to each other. And that's why we're successful, because it's not about ego. It's not about putting other people down. It's about raising everybody up together, communally, as a community, which is what we have to be.
Well, you're going to see a lot of people jump off, and I've had a number of people reach out, usually through email. They don't often say this through YouTube videos, but they reach out through email. And yeah, that's kind of where they are, where they feel like if they don't follow this, what they have been told is this very narrow path to be this, to be that. But I'm an IBEW trained journeyman electrician, and they would kill me. The people I know, they would kill me to make the statement I'm about to say. But the best electrician I've ever met in my life never had a day's training in a schoolyard, in a classroom in his life.
Sure.
One of the best permaculture designers has never been through a permaculture design course. One of the best, pick and choose whatever it is. The ones who had learned through and a lot of homesteading is self-taught, or it can be learned through, things like YouTube, reading books, apprenticeship, classes. Don't dismiss any of those folks. Because honestly, I want to go back and talk about these classes like Bobby's talking about at the expos and stuff. When you have people that are experts in whatever field, you can get a combat multiplier in terms of your knowledge just by doing that class. In fact, y'all, it would floor you if you knew how much money I am about to drop right now. It is an enormous amount of money for me and Michelle to get. I guess I shouldn't talk about it just yet. I don't want to say anything and have people sign up if it turns out to be whack. But this is very, very highly sought after training, but I don't know it personally. So until I get it and until I can vouch for it, I won't say what it is. But the point being is that this is my craft. Homesteading, permaculture, butchery, all these things are my craft. So I need to study myself. I need to study to improve myself at this craft. You know what? I'm not very good at tanning hides yet. I'm a pretty good butcher, but I'm not good at tanning hides. So that's a skill I need to learn. I will pay somebody for their knowledge to impart that wisdom to me. And there's nothing wrong with that. So folks, no matter where you are, whether you're Joel Salatin once said something, and I thought it was great. Somebody said, well, what makes a farmer? Or what makes a farm? And then he said, the farmer. So whether you're growing mushrooms in your closet or whether you're growing 2-story ganja out next to Bobby, yeah.
That's not going to make it past the censors.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you got all kinds of hooter bandits back there in Kansas. But the point being, yeah, I'm pretty sure you got some 2-story ganja all the way around you there, Bobby. But whatever the case may be, folks, the farmer is what makes the farm. So don't think, no matter where your circumstance, no matter what it is, you can prepare, you can do whatever you can, no matter your unless you're in a prison cell. Even inmates prepare to some extent. Bobby would have a shank under. When they send me, you, and Danny into the FEMA camp, if they just happen to have us, I'm pretty sure you're going to prepare, and Danny's going to whittle a shank out of one of the spoons from the main hall they put us in.
Oh yeah, dude, you, Danny, and I. God, imagine if we had John Willis in here too. Jesus, look, I ran a prison in Iraq. Okay, I ran a black site in Iraq for a year with a lot of good people, and I'll tell you right now, I learned some cool tricks. Just saying. I had to. Those people are smart. We don't give them enough credit. We thought we were going over there and just going to wipe out a bunch of dirt farmers. But the fact is, when it came down to searching them, they were really good at wearing almost no clothes and concealing the craziest stuff in the weirdest places. Just saying.
Dude, when I was over there, man, they were some of the frailest people I'd ever seen in my life. I remember kicking around a soccer ball with these guys. And at that time, we were in Kuwait. I remember this dude just got barely. We were breaking their bones by accident, man. It was a crazy thing. But also, yeah, the work ethic and everything else was a little bit odd over there. There was a lot
Yeah.
of weird things over there, but yeah, that was
But they can crouch. They can crouch. They can squat down and crouch and sit there and work with the chain link fence with just these two fingers. And they start popping fence. And they can sit in that position for hours. I sit in that position for 5 minutes and I'm Charlie horsing up, going, oh God, I'm over 40, and I'm
yeah,
sweating
bro.
on. They have their talents are in some strange places, man. Just saying.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Man, that's crazy. Every time we get on here and we talk, Bobby, these conversations they just go in 50,000 different entertaining directions when you're on there. But we're coming near to the end of it. But hey, if you would plug back, tell everybody about. Okay, folks, if you haven't seen it, Bobby finally decided to get a YouTube channel, and it's really good content so far. And some of the ideas that he's talking about are going to be really, really what I love, Bobby, you're extraordinary and you always have been at being able to convey sometimes very tough and difficult information and being able to wrap it in humor makes it a little more palatable. So what can they expect to find on Spags Unfiltered YouTube channel?
Well, without giving too much away, I'm going to talk about some of the typical stuff. What I promise I will never do is make a video where I'm like top 10 guns for preppers, because come on, man, everybody's done that. And frankly, the best gun you can have is the one that's in your hand when you need it. I'm not a purist in that fashion at all, but um, I'm going to try to mix a lot of humor in. Like I said, one of the videos I'm in the process of making right now is called 5 Ways to Tell You're Dating a Beta Male. I'm going to also make a video called the three, basically something along the lines of 3 jobs that prove you're a basic bitch. And then I'm going to do other stuff like, copper mining and, what I'm going to do a series of stuff about my property, show you what I do on pretty much an acre of land. We even have a couple of geese. Their names are Bonnie and Clyde, and we might just do a straight series of videos on Bonnie and Clyde because they're some cool little birds. I'm gonna, like, right now I'm making a video with my daughter. Her and I are building the duck expansion on the duck pen. I'm gonna do some stuff with my kids. I know some people frown on that, but you know what? Come near them, I'll kill you. Let's put it that simply. But this is a family thing, right? Homesteading is a family endeavor. You're gonna see a little bit of that. You're going to see some opinion. You're going to hear me get a little heated up about a few things. I might piss you off too, because I don't believe in government. I am an anarchist to the core. And by that, I don't mean the left-leaning nannies that run around Seattle chucking Molotovs and kicking over trash cans thinking they've changed the world. I'm talking about actually I am ruled by nobody. Nobody on this planet. There's a higher authority I answer to, and that is the only authority I answer to. And I don't care about your popularity contests every 4 years. You can go off and have those all you want. I won't try to take them from you, but I will most certainly never legitimize them. I don't care about them. I don't need them. So that might rub some people wrong. But the fact is, I am freer in all the ways you aren't. And you will learn how to be free like me if you listen. You're going to get some philosophy. You're going to get some deep down stuff. And then there's going to be some lighthearted stuff too. It's going to be a mix of things. My goal is to never make a video over 5 minutes because there's already so many people in that space making the big meaty content. I want my stuff to be something you can watch on a smoke break or while you're in the bathroom dropping a deuce. I want to be there with you in your most intimate moments. So yeah, it's called Spags Unfiltered. And I hope you enjoy it. I have no problem with you challenging me on Spags Unfiltered. In fact, one person already did, and we talked it out, and we ended up becoming friends, because that's how it works. I'm going to try to challenge your preconceived notions. I'm going to talk about the things that my group and I do that work. I'm going to talk about the things I do that work. But if there's one thing I believe very sincerely when it comes to the world of homesteading and prepping is that I will show you a way. There is no such thing as the way. There's only one person that's ever been on this planet that can tell you the way, and I am not him. So I'm not going to try to fill those shoes. But if you're interested in all that bullshit I just said, come on over, have a good time. We can have a whiskey together and we can enjoy it. Or if you just want a water or sweet tea, I won't pressure you, and we can have a good time with it. Why not?
Man, it's always a joy, Bobby, and I I'll tell you what sucked about that last festival we were both at is, I see you, Darren, met Grumpy, met Andrew, met all these new people, and then finally got to meet John for the first time. I already knew Nicole, and then all the other wonderful people that show up at these things. It's almost the beauty about getting to these gatherings is that it's like a reunion with people you didn't know were your family.
Sure.
And, unless it's one of my biological family reunions where, there's going to be some fighting and carrying on. But point being is that's if you haven't gone, like Bobby talked about that thing going on in Colorado. We got the one at the end of the week. Remember that swale class. If you want to go check that, learn how to make a swale. SOE is going to have their thing. Doug and Stacy has theirs coming up in beginning of August. If you get a chance, I know everybody's busy, but if you get a chance to get out and fellowship and hang out and get to hang out with people like Bobby and so many wonderful people right here in this chat, it just makes you feel a little more fulfilled. Like every time I go down to Deep South, man, it's like it's like another, like a homecoming, And so I wish we could do this sort of thing often, but with all the dumb stuff going on in the world, we do it as often as we can. But if we have to, that's one beautiful thing about this medium, Bobby, is that you and I can sit here and exchange ideas along with all of our friends right here in the chat. And, I mean, it's the next best thing to actually being in the same room.
Hey, if you have a prepper expo or a homesteading expo or anything like that that's coming up and it's a local show, email me, bobbyspags79@gmail.com. I will look into what you have. It might be something I'll come out to, and I will most certainly promote it. One of the other things I'm doing on my YouTube, I don't know if anyone's noticed yet, but I'm making playlists, right? So all my interviews with you, for example, are in a playlist. People can watch them on my channel, which gives you viewership, helps you monetize, right? We all scratch each other's backs. But one of the things I'm doing is if you have a product that I believe in, I have a playlist called Spags Approved Products. So Billy's Bone Sauce, your video about that's in my list. John Willis's chest rig, micro rig video is in that list. EMP Shield is in that list. And there will be other. So if you have a product, if you make something, email me with it. Send me a link. I will look at it. I will review it if you'd like. And if I find it to be a legitimate product, I'll put it on my list. And anyone who comes to my channel, I will help you. That's part of this counter economy that I'm talking about, man. If you've got something, let me know. Like Grumpy Acres, those guys have some neat stuff that they do with freeze dryers. Anybody has a video about a product they make that they sell, send it to me. I'll review it. And if it's good, I'll put it in my list.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, real quick, before we roll, I think Darren at Hacks for the Homesteaders makes a pretty good point. He says, hey, Billy, let's start using the comments to list where we are in the country so we can build our communities bigger. And folks, if you haven't checked out Hacks for the Homesteader, go check him out. Real good friend of mine from way back. I think he's right on the money. That is something, like even at these gatherings, I wish, and hopefully that's something that can be done, because if everybody could just, whether it's an in-person gathering or whether it's a virtual gathering like this, it would be a great benefit to everybody, to all parties involved. If somebody were to say, because I found out at one of the ones I went to that this guy went 6 hours. No, he went 7 hours. And then we come to find out that we actually live 30 minutes away from one another.
Right.
So that's what we find out in things like this. So, hey, everybody, if you're okay with it, how about a little shout out? Anywhere you are, maybe you might want to, we'll try to do this at the front end next time we do something like this. And it would probably, Darren, that was a fantastic idea. Not only is Darren a formidable mechanic and name all things, jack of all trades, also has fantastic ideas. But yeah, holler if you hear me, y'all. Southwest Tennessee, Central Indiana. Yep. So everybody kind of, if you would, maybe take a gander here and find out where.
Sure. And Billy will tell you, I used to put on expos. I was a co-owner with some really good friends of the Kansas Prepper Expo and of Full Spectrum Preparedness. I've put on 12 prepping expos, and now I work with data and Tag from Life Done Free and a few other folks. And we put on the Midwest Preparedness Project twice a year. It's called the Midwest Preparedness Festival up in Northeast Kansas. I have a lot of experience in putting these things together. Some of the guys I'm working with, some of the gals I'm working with have a lot of experience. If you need help, man, reach out. If we can offer you some advice or if we can offer you something to help you, if we have the ability, we will do it.
Yeah, Bobby's expos were always awesome, man. I mean, I remember there was this dude, I don't know who he was or where he came from, man. He had beef jerky. Well, he had jerky of every type, dude. I got done eating all the different types of jerky he had there, and I swear I had an entire ecosystem in my gut. I mean, dude, my man had ostrich jerky, man. I don't know who that guy is or
That
where
was
he came.
Bill. I'm pretty sure that was Bill. I won't say the rest of his info, but I'm pretty sure that's Bill. He had all kind of smoked meats and sausages and jerkies all the time. That guy was a master behind the grill and with the smoker.
It was, I mean, dude, it all tastes like chicken to me after the smoke's on it, but it was. I mean, it was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool novelty. But the cool thing about your expos is that they weren't small. They were the perfect size.
Yes.
Where you can go to these ones that are so big, and I've been to them, where you get lost in there. You miss that personal feel. You never have a conversation like when we were at the SOE compound. Um, Darren and Grumpy. Darren probably spent 80% of the time there answering questions of other people who were inexperienced, and they were helping me out, man, in the booth sometimes. But you don't get that kind of feel at one of these mega gatherings. That's one cool thing about the thing you did, Bobby, where you actually do get to have conversations.
Yes.
And it's so intimate.
Yeah, I don't want to I don't want to put together a show where there's 90,000 people there and nobody knows anybody. I want it to be intimate. We always used to set up tables and stuff on the outside of the area so that people could just sit down. We would allow the local mutual assistance groups from Kansas City or Wichita or Lawrence. We'd give them a free table. Come set up a booth, have some literature, talk about your mutual assistance group, and recruit other people. Get some folks out there. Meet people in your local area. What was our motto was educate, equip, and network, right? Those are the three most important parts of prepping is education, equipping yourself properly, and networking with others. I'm willing to help you do it now.
Hold on, bro. You're telling me in Lawrence, Kansas, one of the most liberal enclaves
one of my best friends,
people there?
Yeah, one of my best friends that I know in the preparedness movement today. It took him and I a long time to reach that mutual camaraderie because him and I kind of came from different places. But he lives in Lawrence. He's a great friend of mine now. We talk all the time.
His name doesn't begin with a J, does it?
It does. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure about that, but I was like, okay, well, I guess if things do jump off, that's the one place where you don't have to worry about anybody with a gun.
Yeah, you walk into Walgreens and take what you want. They're all going to be like, I can't breathe good.
Dude, that is the craziest place. Just a real quick thing before we get. I remember I was walking down the street, me and Michelle. I don't think William was there. I was with my sister-in-law and her kids. This dude comes up. It is cold. It is Kansas cold. Dude comes up wearing rags, literally on the street. Things are shutting down. We're walking down Massachusetts Street in Lawrence. Dude comes up, got nothing but rags on. He says, man, can you give me some money? I haven't eaten in days. I said, well, I ain't going to give you no money, Jack, but I will feed you. So I look up, and on that, we're right next to a Pizza Hut right there on Mass Street. And it's the only thing that's open at that point. I would have rather taken this poor sap down to Papakino's, which is much better, but that's what was there. We go in. This dude looks up there. Like I said, he is in rags, and it is freezing in Kansas. He's in there, and how this dude ain't shivering, I don't know, but he's looking up there at the menu, and the guy at the Pizza Hut's like, dude, come on, man, I'm trying to shut down. And I said, hey, man, just get whatever you want, dude. Don't worry about it. He gets up there, and he looks at the guy and says, do you have a veggie lovers? And I said, hold on, boy.
Busted.
You told me you haven't eaten for days, and you're asking, do you want something a little more calorie dense? Trust me, I can afford the toppings on this. He looks at me and says, dude, why would you eat that stuff? It'll kill you. I was like, all right, man. Dude, only in Lawrence, Kansas, dude. We got a health conscious bum.
Oh, where the vagabonds have morals about what they eat.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm like, dude, you sure you don't want to get a meat lovers with extra cheese? I'll buy it for you. He's asking for a veggie lovers, bro. I bought this kid a veggie lovers. He said he hadn't eaten in days, only in Lawrence, Kansas.
Oh man, takes all types. You know what
Yeah.
though? I'm always nice to those folks because you never know. What does the Bible say?
Yeah.
Sometimes
You could be,
you may be entertaining angels unaware.
I think that's actually happened to me twice where I fed man, I don't really like to talk about this stuff because like the Bible says you have your reward, but I one of my things is, if I see a person that's hungry, I will feed them. And maybe that's something I'll cover in a later episode, maybe even in a podcast. But there's two times in my life where I wonder if that's what happened. Something that was very miraculous, but that's another that's a weird thing that unfolded. Um,
No, Mr. Ike. Email me details.
oh,
Well, he asked a question if I would help with the show. Yeah. Bobby Spags 79 at
I thought you were
gmail.com.
calling me David Ike.
Oh, no, Mr. Ike. No, but you too. Yeah. Yes.
Well, hey, everybody, thank you so much, Bobby. As always, a joy, bro. I look forward to the time we get to meet up at another one of these gatherings.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sure it's going to be too much longer. Hey, everybody out there, if you're, remember, take note of everybody. We'll do what Darren from Hacks for the Homesteader said a moment ago. At the next time we do something like this, I'll ask everybody to kind of give a shout out
Yep.
so we can all kind of get to know one another. Like he said in there, there may be a chance that somebody's like, if you're looking for a mutual assistance group, it kind of starts by saying where you're from.
Right.
Don't put in your address, but kind of give them like a 4-digit grid coordinate.
Right.
Give them some sort of idea. But Bobby, thanks so much. Remember, check out
Sure.
Spags Unfiltered. If you need anything from us, comfrey, bone sauce, anything down below, and we got a link to Bobby down below as well. Check it out. Hey, thanks so much, y'all. Thanks, Bobby, and look forward to it next month, brother.
Love you, Billy.